What's up, beautiful people? Today we're going to be checking out the brilliance of leftist logic, and this is by one and only, I'll let you find out. You probably know already, but let's get to it.
Just out here taking my climate change measurements. As you can see, the sea levels have devastatingly risen to the exact same level they've been for the past 300 years. I mean, that's what makes climate change so dangerous. You can't see it, you can't feel it, you can't measure it. It's like a concealed weapon. And there's other things to worry about too. Like, for example, there's a lot of unjust things happening in the world. Like, did you hear about the Supreme Court overturning Biden's authoritarian student loan forgiveness plan? So, like, what are they expecting me to be responsible for paying back the student loan that I took out? That's not my responsibility, and that's unfair. It'd be easier if whoever gave me the loan was just stuck with the loss of money. It's a pretty simple solution if you ask me. And not only do I think student loans should be forgiven, I think home loans should be forgiven too. Because here's my home. Pretty nice, isn't it? But guess what? I don't want to keep paying for it. And yes, I do deserve to keep it. All they would have to do is just cancel all home loans. Then nobody would be burdened by having to pay for the houses that they bought.
But then who would pay back the company that gave you the loan?
Well, I don't know much about economics because I'm not a biologist, but I am of the opinion that they don't need to be paid back.
Just print more money and pay for the loan, right?
So if we just did that, then I would be better off at someone else's expense. And I'm not going to pay another penny on my student loans no matter what they say. And I couldn't even if I wanted to.
So the forgiveness loan, I think we saw a video yesterday. Sorry to cut the video right there, but we saw a video yesterday where somebody wanted to see the papers of the forgiveness or the people who's been claiming these things, and coincidentally they're not willing to show the paper. I'll put the link to that video in the description so you guys can go see how tricky the response was. Not tricky, it was cunning, felt very deceitful.
As it turns out, my degree in gender studies that cost me $150,000 doesn't really lend me a lot of job opportunities. Surprising. And I'll tell you what else bothers me. Open borders, and why ours isn't more open. Like, the border's open, guys. Come on in. What could go wrong? But then you have Texas authorities closing off sections of the border with razor wire. Like, what are they trying to do? Make the border a border or something? Extremists? But luckily, the Biden administration cut down the razor wire so more people can easily, illegally enter our country, which is their legal right to do so, according to my truth. And not only do I think us having an open border should be mandated, but I think us having open doors on our homes should be mandated. As long as having open borders is such a good thing, it should be illegal for you to close your front door.
Right.
Why? Because having a closed front door is uninclusive to people who you don't want in your home. But I think it's time we amplify the equitable diversity of inclusiveness to allow people who we don't want in our homes to be in our homes. Because that's what we want. No human is illegal, all lives matter, and trust the science kind of thing. It's a fact that closed front doors are racist and xenophobic because there's a chance that the person on the other side of the door is a different race than you. And at the very least, there's a chance that they're a different person than you. So given that there's only upside to open borders, we can bring all of those same benefits to our individual homes if we can get this open front door policy passed. And if someone comes in and trashes your house, guess what? It's simple. Just go buy a new house by taking out a home loan that you won't have to pay back. See, that's how the economy should work.
Wow.
And I'll tell you this, it breaks my heart to see people misgendered. Of course, what you internally identify as should be obvious enough to others that they...
The way he constructs his words just get me all the time. The way you internally identify should be obvious enough. I try not to stop his videos too many times, but I can't. I can't just let something slide. We need to call it out. It's nice.
Yes. It breaks my heart to see people misgendered. Of course, what you internally identify as should be obvious enough to others that they should be able to observe it and verbally reflect it back to you to affirm who and what you think you are so you don't have to affirm yourself. The purpose of other people is to be preoccupied with affirming me. Well, I obviously identify with my gender because it's a deep and fulfilling thing to identify with. I also identify with other things too. I identify with pronouns, nouns, verbs that represent my most recent action. I identify with my blood type, astrological chart, human design, and the level of antigenic response my immune system has to gluten. So just as common courtesy, I'd appreciate you addressing me as such each time you acknowledge me. I don't think that's too much to ask, and it's abusive not to. Also, my heart breaks that the Supreme Court struck down affirmative action. Affirmative action was a masterful way of getting minorities admitted in college so they could be entrapped in student loans that they can't get out of, as a way of helping them get ahead in life. But the court apparently doesn't want racial equity where people are advanced or held back based on the color of their skin. They're just a bunch of bigots that don't know the best way to end racism is to make everything about race. But unlike the Supreme Court, I think we need to take this equitable strategy to more areas of society.
Like?
But mainly all of them. Like sports. Why are we still keeping score as the way of determining which team wins?
Yeah.
Achievement-based scorekeeping? Give me a break. It's racist to not be making this score about race. What we should be doing is observing which team has the most minorities, aka least amount of white people, and using that as a criteria to decide who wins the game. So anyway, just a few.
That's the policy companies are adopting these days, right? So sports might as well just adopt it, follow the flow.
Ideas I've been working on based on the logic of equitable policies that haven't worked but definitely will work if we just keep doing more of them for a longer period of time.
Yeah, I like to watch his video. I wouldn't even mind watching the ad. Like, he's so good of a content creator, good comedian, good personality, good person too. Yeah, anyways, let me know what you think. The brilliance of leftist logic. He said a lot of very touching things like forgiving. The thing about him is everything he says that is funny is actually happening for real in some way, even though he might exaggerate. It's comedy, you're supposed to exaggerate it to make it very amusing or more amusing. But the student loan forgiving, that's a real thing. And apparently the documents are being concealed. So you can't even tell what you're forgiving or who's taking the forgiveness or who, I don't know. But the video we saw yesterday wasn't encouraging to me. It wasn't encouraging. It felt really deceitful and very untrue. He also spoke about open border policy, which I don't think is ideal either, but I think Americans would be better to speak on that. Actually, I saw a video on TikTok where this guy, he said he's an immigrant and he spoke against open border policies. He said he made some very good points in that video. He said, if you're willing to enter a country illegally, then it's kind of like diluting, or I forgot the words he used, but basically you're taking away opportunities from the guys who had to go through the process to get into the country, and you're coming to take their opportunities or your... Honestly, I wish I remember how he framed it, and I also didn't save the video. I would have put it here so you guys can see. But yeah, he said some very important points about open border policy. I don't think open border is good for anybody. It's almost closely related with the open door policy JP was just talking about. It's like the same thing. Leave your doors open if you're going to leave your borders open. Test it. If it works in your homes, then it probably is going to work in the borders too. So yeah, let me know what you think about the video. Very interesting one. Share your thoughts. This is the end of this one. Smash the like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I'll see you on the next video. Have a wonderful day. Peace. I made this better.